Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow and Extreme Health Club.
Trevent Hayes here, KY Sports TV, James Brown.
104thescore.com and 104.7.
We are back here at Glasgow EPB Channel 6.
The local channel, man.
The local channel,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, the local channel. Owning a local funeral home, I should always throw that local in there. We're really excited about being back for week 2. We hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. James had some really good feedback.
Yeah, people had good responses. My sister down in Mississippi watched it, said she thought it was awesome. She's a big sports nut too, so it helps to have family.
It does. It does. We'll start the show off today. I was able to go and watch the number 1 team in the 4th region play the number 1 team in the 5th region in the 4th region, Warren Central versus Taylor County. I really thought that it would be a 20-25 point game
In Central's favor.
In Warren Central's favor. It was a very good game. Warren Central didn't play the best that I've seen them play.
Yeah.
It was a 13-point game. You got Taylor County had 2 kids, the Wise kid, and then they had another kid that was all region. Mm-hmm. And they kept it close for a while, but the athleticism from Warren Central was just way too much for them to overcome. And even on a bad night, I think it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Warren Central in the 4th region.
One of the things I think that Taylor County has an advantage with in terms of playing against Warren Central versus a lot of teams is they kind of can put 5 guys on the court that can handle the ball. Taylor County can. And if you're unable to do that, Warren Central's pressure will eventually eat you up. And so I think that's kind of what kind of kept them in the game was the ability to have multiple guys who can kind of handle that pressure. And, they're a well-coached team, and they got a lot of, I would say, experienced players who have dealt with pressure and that kind of stuff. What Warren Central does is they get you in this game that a lot of people don't want to play, which is that up-paced game. And Taylor County can put some guys on the floor that can kind of keep up. Plus, that experience allows them to know when to, not keep trying to run with Warren Central and slow the game down a little bit and get the shots they want.
And, from watching that game, and then seeing early in the season them playing Campbellsville, mm-hmm. The score was 35-33.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people, a lot of teams as well as a lot of individuals play to their level of competition. Mm-hmm. If you've got a team that's not very good and you're a good team, sometimes it's hard to really get into the flow of the game because there's the absence of defense. Mm-hmm. All you're doing is rebounding their missed shots. What do you think about the games when it's such a lopsided game?
A lot of people like to talk about coaching in the big games and all that kind of stuff. I think the best coaches show up in the games that don't actually matter for their team. And the reason I say that is their job is to continually remind them every game is the same, no matter who you're playing against. And so you got to play with that level of intensity that allows you to win the way you should. John Butler and I talk about this a lot of times. Sometimes it's not the score you're looking at necessarily or the competition. You're looking at, did they beat them with the expectation that they should?
Right.
So did they beat them by 30 when they're 30 points better? Did they beat them by 10 when they're 10 points better? And then what that tells you is that week in, week out kind of coaching is effective in getting those players to understand every game is another game. It doesn't matter what the competition is, who you're playing against. It matters how you perform in that game, and that result is where you should see that. And, the running clock kind of maybe skews that a little bit, but still, if Warren Central is 30 points better than pick somebody they're 30 points better than them, they should win that game by 30 points, even with the running clock.
Now, I've never been a fan of the RPI rankings.
Yeah.
But Cantrell still does those, right?
Yeah, Cantrell does his rankings.
So Tony was at the game as well. Mm-hmm. And before the game, he said that the RPI difference was 12 points.
Yeah.
and it was a 13-point game. So I apologize for not respecting the rankings, but Cantrell, I now appreciate what you do because he was dead on.
Well, and the interesting thing about the RPI is they're using it for the football playoffs, like in that regional round, and et cetera. And I don't like the way that it's set up in football because they factor in the class difference between the schools. I mean, look, Mayfield is a 2A school. Seneca's a 6A school. I think Mayfield will beat them by 45 every year. The size of the school doesn't always matter.
Right.
So that shouldn't be in the football RPI, in my opinion. The basketball is a little cleaner with the exception of not knowing how to factor in out-of-state games or against out-of-state competition. And during Christmas, a lot of teams go and play, down in Florida or Gatlinburg, and they'll end up playing a bunch of schools that are from somewhere else. And I think that maybe messes with the RPI. But maybe you get enough games of commonality within the state that it is working out pretty effectively.
Right. You went and watched Glasgow and Allen County, correct?
That is right. And then Glasgow won that game 71-36. That's probably the best game that the Scotties have played all year. I know they came back on Saturday and lost over Memorial to Hart, but John Carter Walbert did not play in that game because he got hurt in the Allen County game. I don't know what his status is. I don't know how long he might be out for. I think it was an ankle injury. So hopefully he'll be back next week for the district. So I think that had an impact on Saturday. But even the fact that the final score of that game was 62-56 was actually kind of positive in my mind because they lean on Walbert so much offensively and defensively and ball handling. So maybe that had an impact on Saturday.
And what about the girls' game?
Man, the Allen County in that game played like the Allen County I thought we would see this year. They've really only had their two guards, Morris and Nazer. They haven't had them almost, they've both been out for stretches with injury. They shot the lights out. Morris is really good. She's in the 8th grade. I mean, she's crazy impressive.
And Glasgow's going to face them again next week in the first round of the district, correct?
That's right. Now, I thought the Lady Scotties played real well against Hart County. Different kind of matchup. I mean, Dia Bradley, you can't defend her. I think she had 32 in the game. I mean, you really can't. I mean, you can't defend her.
She had 76 points in 2 games.
Yeah, so she's indefensible, so to speak. So I thought the Lady Scotties played pretty well in that game considering, and they shot the ball better. They've hit this stretch where some of their players who are usually really good shooters are kind of playing with a lack of confidence at the moment, shooting the ball. And they just, when you get in the postseason, you just kind of have to let it fly and don't forget that shot, whether it goes in or not. And hopefully they get there.
And speaking of letting the shots fly, this is something that's bothered me for the last probably 5 years in high school sports. Mm-hmm. When Jordan came through, kids tried to do all the acrobatic stuff to mimic Jordan. Mm-hmm. Then Kobe, kind of the same thing. But I think these kids let 3-pointers fly like free throws. Yeah. And the percentages aren't really that good.
I call it the Trae Youngification of high school sports.
I don't know what you call it, but it's terrible.
Because, if you're Steph Curry, you can shoot wherever you want to. But if you're Trae Young, you might need to quit. And more people are they think they're Steph Curry, but they're actually Trae Young.
Trae Youngs.
And I think, then the other thing about high school, the kind of the coaching I think that's happening is the, layup or 3 kind of mentality, which is fine if you can play above the rim, but, a lot of kids can't.
A lot of kids can't.
They need to learn that mid-range jumper to get that defender because people are just sitting in the paint and waiting for a charge a lot of times too.
And we're kind of skipping around, but interesting stat line, and we keep going back to Dia Bradley. I just think she's one of the most special girls players, not only in the area but the state.
Yeah.
Not the Hart County game, but the Greenwood game. Her stat line was 80% from the 2-point field goals, 60% from the 3-point field goals, and 90% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
With 44 points.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll kind of break down some more of the district matchups that are coming up next week as we're getting excited about those games.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Trevent Hayes, James Brown. We are back with Glasgow Electric Plant Board Channel 6, the local channel.
The local channel.
We took a break talking about Deb Bradley. Mm-hmm. I've told a lot of people that we've seen a lot of good girls basketball players come through this area.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that I think that holds her back from being a Division I player is definitely her height.
Yeah.
And it's on the boys' side. A lot of times you can get away with that. Mm-hmm. But in Division I, those girls are all, you look at the guards from South Carolina, they're 6'1".
Yeah.
And it's just so hard for girls players to adjust with that, with that big of a size difference. But who knows, she may grow this summer. I think if she could get to 5'10", I think she's a Division I basketball player.
That's the transformation of women's college basketball over the last 20 years. Because historically speaking, when you go back and you look at the old Tennessee teams or Louisiana Tech teams or WKU teams that were really good, usually your guards were in that 5'5", 5'6" range, maybe even 5'4". If they could handle the ball, run the offense, they really didn't even have to shoot. But that's also the transformation of basketball. In men's basketball early on, your guards started getting bigger, 6 foot, 6'3", 6'5". Now if you're not a 6'6" guard in men's basketball, you're not really getting a lot of looks. And when I say a guard, I mean basically a guy who can handle the ball and shoot a three.
But
so that's kind of the same thing.
But if I was a Division I coach, I'm not saying South Carolina, LSU, but I'd still probably have to take a chance on her.
I would say that if you are, EKU is a Division I school.
It is.
Murray State's a Division I school. Morehead State's a Division I school. If I'm those guys, heck yeah.
You have to.
She can handle the ball and she can score. And
she creates her own shot.
Yeah, she has the quickness also that makes up. She has the speed and quickness that eliminate some of that height disadvantage because the bigger player may not be able to stay in front of her. So I think that's critical.
And while we're on small guards, down in the 3rd region, Owensboro Catholic, they have a point guard, Brian Griffith. Mm-hmm. We started covering this kid when he was in AAU. He played for the DSP Heat. Mm-hmm. And, I'll have to go back through the archives and find some of those interviews for you to see how little he was. But he's still not a big guard, but he's the floor general. And I'm looking at your notes here. They're 24-3.
Yeah, clearly the best team in the 3rd region. Their head coach, you and their head coach may have some history, huh? So Tim Riley was done at Caverna by the time he got to high school.
Tim Riley was, in the last show I was talking about, we didn't make it out of the district our senior year, and we were, everybody wanted to see us play Marion. Well, we also didn't make it out of the district my junior year, and he was the coach at LaRue County, and they shot 79% from the field for the entire game. We got a little history.
So he was at Caverna, then he went to LaRue.
No, he was at LaRue.
Oh, he's at LaRue?
He was at LaRue County when I played.
Okay.
Then he came to Caverna.
I got you. Okay, and then he went to Warren Central. Then he retired.
And
it's been at Owensboro Catholic, I think, about 10 years now.
Yes. Yes, he has been. But he's a very good coach.
Yeah.
Very good coach.
Yeah, so Once again, though, he's put together a really good team there at Owensboro Catholic. They beat Bowling Green 63-59 on December 20th. They've beaten Owensboro, I think, both times they played them by about 20. They're in the same district. And then Ohio County is the other team. They're 22-6. They're the second team record-wise and the third.
And they're ranked 20. They were ranked in the top 25.
I don't know how, because I think they've just kind of played a soft schedule when you get right down to the brass tacks of it.
Well, being a Caverna alumni, it's not a soft schedule. Caverna beat them by.
Well, I would say
they were up 26.
Yeah.
At Ohio County.
Beat them by 16. I think it was 66-50.
They ended up beating them by 16.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Taylor County in the 5th.
Is that right? Schedule just hadn't been that tough.
I don't think it's reflected the competition.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
We played Caverna played Taylor County in the summer and beat them. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think that they were, that team to beat in the 5th region. But Montrell Irvin, who was the 5th region coach of the year, he brings it out of those kids.
Yeah. You guys played them over at Taylor County, right?
Over at Taylor in the
I think
summer.
I came over there for that.
Yes.
So, back to that 3rd region. I mean, Owensboro Catholic had a good run. They lost in the All-A semifinals, I think, to Holy Cross Covington, which if there's a team out in the state and somebody wants to look it up and say, I didn't know they were that good, that's the team to look up. They are really good. They beat Owensboro Catholic by 20 in the All-A.
And they also beat...
I think they beat Covington Catholic.
They beat Lexington Catholic in the finals.
Yeah, Lexington Christian.
No. Lexington Catholic.
Oh, yeah.
Lexington Catholic. And the reason I know it was Lexington Catholic, the mayor of Cave City, Dwayne Hatcher.
Yeah.
His grandson.
Now that was in the
2A.
That was in the BGIT or whatever that was.
I thought it was in the 2A.
No.
Owensboro.
No, Owensboro Catholic was in the All-A.
They were in the All-A.
Yeah.
All-A, okay.
Yeah, and Covington Holy Cross beat them in the All-A, and I think Evangel Christian beat Covington Holy Cross in the All-A finals.
In the finals.
Yeah. And then
finals.
Evangel Christian beat Bowling Green Monday night, I believe it was. And they're really good, 20-4. You got to see them too during Christmas, and they were pretty impressive.
I did. Sarah Malanga, 6'11". Mm-hmm. But he wasn't the most impressive kid on the floor, I don't think. I think the point guard, number 5.
Yes.
I mean, he's 6'5", 6'6". He gave Caverna and everybody else the hits.
Yeah.
I mean, he could shoot the 3.
Yeah.
If you guard him close, he was going to blow by you. And if you double teamed, he was throwing the lob to Sear. It was a fun game to watch, but not as a parent of a kid on the other team.
Yeah, if you're a Caverna fan, it was not fun.
No,
but if you wanted to watch a team that was really impressive, it was fun.
They were good, and I was talking last night to my cousin. They have 2 at every position.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when you take Sear out, you got a kid Sear 6'11", you got a kid that's 6'9", that comes off the bench behind him, so you really don't miss a beat.
You going back to that Division I discussion, that guard for Evangel Christian, I wish I could remember his name, is an example of what a Division I basketball player looks like. So these people out here who are like, oh, my kid could be Division I or so-and-so could be Division I, if you want to see what it looks like, go watch that dude play basketball and you'll see, oh, that's what you got to be. 6'5", handle the ball, shoot a 3, outstanding.
And James, I'm glad that you said that because I made a post on Facebook a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
About.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
And what it talks about is, a lot of parents think that their kids are Division I players, and I use Trevor as an example. Myself. When you go to these tournaments, or if you go outside of Glasgow, Cave City, and you see some of these athletes, you see what a Division I athlete is.
Yeah.
And I'm not discouraging kids from playing AAU, but my point was, I wasn't going to continue to pour money into him going all over the state and the country playing AAU for nothing. He's 5'8". He was not going. He wasn't going to grow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Trevor. He's 5'9". He was not
Why
going
you
to
want to show
go.
your son like that?
He was not going to go to I don't think he could have played Division II basketball. And you know, on his AAU team, he played with Hoop Dreams. On his AAU team was, the running back from Alabama that came from Madison Central.
Yeah.
That plays for the New England Patriots
Yes.
today, Damian Harris.
Yes.
Damian Harris was on his AAU team. Okay. I asked myself, why is this kid playing basketball? And they were freshmen in high school. I said, this kid is a Division I football player. And the year after that, he quit playing AAU and he focused on football. But, you know, and I didn't make that post to be mean to people.
Yeah.
But if your kid plays more than one sport, find the sport, and you want them to play in college. Find the sport that they're good at. Invest in that.
Yeah. I would say this, though. Here's one thing about high school that I think people get mixed up about. The opportunity in high school is to do multiple things. Not to be great at them, but to just do them. And, you know, I think I made my daughter play soccer her senior year because I was like, you know, this would be the last chance you get to play, so you might as well do it. And ran cross country, track, all these different sports that they did. But the one other thing that I also learned from all that was don't spend $2,000 in the summer on athletics. Spend $2,000 in the summer on academics.
Exactly.
Because that gets you a lot more money in college.
Exactly. And, you know, some of these kids might need to start playing golf. Really,
Man,
there's
yeah.
scholarships.
I know. That's what people tell me.
But there's, you know.
If I liked to golf, I probably would let them play.
Parents, just please listen. College basketball teams, regardless if it's NAIA, Division III, Division II, Division I, there's only 15 players on the team. 15. Football, Division I, there's 100.
Yeah.
Even in the NAIA, there's 70, 80.
Yeah.
Baseball, there's 30, 40.
Yeah.
Understand that you have to be very, very, very different to play Division I basketball. You do.
One last thing. A lot of kids, when they go to college, realize that it goes from the fun that they were having to the business that it is.
It's a business.
And I, you know, when people are, well, they quit playing in college, and I'm like, well, you know, it's a different animal. And a lot of people who complain about that stuff, they wanted to do it, but man, it takes a lot of commitment on all levels to do that. And I think people don't realize just how much time is eaten up trying to play college sports, even at a Division II or III level.
It is. We're going to take another break, and we'll be back with you guys here in just a minute.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
We're back, and James, we need to touch on the 5th region a little bit.
Yep.
Looking at your notes here, I'm not a note keeper. James has some notes. You know, the top 5 in the 5th region is Taylor, LaRue, Washington, Adair, and Caverna. Caverna plays Adair tonight. Adair's 21-7, Caverna 17-9. I think that the 5th region is wide open.
You know, here's one of the things that I thought about as I was making my notes here. In those top 5 are none of the schools from the 17th district. And historically,
the 17th district teams are the teams to beat.
It's kind of like the 14th and the 4th region. The 17th, usually you go through the 17th on boys basketball if you're going to make it to the state tournament. And none of them are in there this year. Those would be the teams that are in the E-Town area: John Hardin, Fort Knox, Central Hardin, North Hardin, Elizabethtown. We've had, I think Central Hardin was really good last year, if I'm not mistaken. Elizabethtown is usually pretty good every year. And then North Hardin's one of those, if you got a gum there, they're probably going to be killing you in boys basketball. They've had some good teams through the years. John Hardin's had some really good teams not too long in the past. And so it's kind of interesting when you look at that 5th region and you don't see any of those schools in that top 5 record-wise.
I think John Hardin is the University of Louisville this year.
Is that
I think
right?
They've won 3 games.
They have had, it's got to be the worst year in the school, in the history of their school.
Even the first year. But out of that 17th district, E-Town is a sleeper and Central Hardin's a sleeper. Central Hardin has the player of the year, Brett Decker.
Yeah.
The kid can play. I watched him last year some, but I watched him this summer in the Big Dust Bowl in Bardstown.
Okay.
Kid's player.
Well, and so it is interesting, and that's why I think it looks wide open too. The 5th region does, is because we don't have any of those schools in there in that top 5. And Taylor County has won the games that I think they beat Elizabethtown, they beat LaRue in that 2A tournament, regional tournament or sectional. I don't know how they divide that up necessarily. That was a close game, but they won the game. They've won the games against these other teams in the top of this. But as we've talked about, you and I have seen LaRue a couple of times or more, and they can shoot.
They must have just caught LaRue on a bad shooting night.
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, in that game, Taylor County hit basically a game winner at the end. I think they won by 3. And so that was one of those games. It'll be interesting, when you look at, LaRue's clearly the favorite to win the 18th. Taylor's clearly the favorite to win the 19th, I think it is, they're in. And then Washington County, the rest of their district, I don't think is very good this year. Is that Marion?
It's Marion, Nelson.
Yeah.
Thomas Nelson.
Yeah, Thomas Nelson.
And Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
No. Bethlehem's in the district. It's Bardstown, Bethlehem, Nelson, and
Thomas Nelson.
And Washington has to be Washington, Marion. Adair's in that district.
Yeah, that's right.
Adair's in
It always throws me off because Adair is like way out of whack from where the rest of that district is. So I always forget they're actually in that district.
In that district. So Adair could sneak in and win that district.
That's true. They have a couple of good guards. One of the things I wanted to talk about when it comes to these like district tournaments that just blows my mind across the state is 2 things. One is you got these districts that are like 3 teams, all right? So I just looked up just 3 of them. They're more than that. The 3rd district only has 3 teams in there. I think it's Mayfield, Graves, and Ballard Memorial, I think it is. When I also in that 1st region, when I was looking, that was the only district bracket set online. The 1st, 2nd, and 4th were not on there.
So the 1st seed is automatically going to the region.
Yeah, which seems weird.
There's no chance of upset.
Yeah. Now, and then along with that, well, as we just pointed out with the 17th, you got 5 teams in that one. You've got some 6-team districts across the state. And also you still have districts in the state that they just do a draw. You don't even really have to play each other. And they just draw, and you could have the 2 best teams playing each other. And I believe there was a year up in like the 52nd district or whatever it was, 53rd maybe, where a team did not play a district game, only won 5 games all year and drew the bye.
And went to the region.
And went to the region.
Yes.
And you're just, when I see this, I'm like, why do they, the thing about the no classification in basketball is you got to beat the best to win the state championship. Well, point of fact, no, you don't. You can just draw the right number.
And Kentucky,
to get the region.
The state of Kentucky is the only state in the country that has 1 state champion.
I think Delaware may still have theirs.
Do they?
I believe they used to. They were the
What I
only 2
read
states.
that Kentucky was still the only state.
They may have changed. It's been a while since I looked it up, but I believe Delaware used to have a 1 state championship situation.
So we're looking at on the girls' side, Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Out of the 5th, I think we've mutually agreed that the boys' side is wide open.
Uh-huh.
Girls in the 4th, really have to go through Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And as we've said from the beginning, you have to go through Warren Central.
Yeah, on the boys, yep.
If there's a few teams that you think in the fourth that could upset Warren Central.
On the boys' side?
On the boys' side.
I mean, you always have to be, Bowling Green's always potentially could beat them because that rivalry just means those games are going to be so much different than just about anybody else. I just don't know that anybody else has the firepower to really get there in the fourth. Now, on the girls' side, I still think Barron could cause Bowling Green some problems.
Cause some trouble.
Yeah. I mean, look, Abby Varney has been playing lights out lately, and as long as she's playing like that and they continue to defend the way they do. Now, I know Meadow Tisdale didn't play in that game last week, but man, they came back on the next night and beat Franklin Simpson like they stole something. So,
as a former athlete, I've learned the best team doesn't always win.
No, and we've seen it before. I mean, there were a couple of years we got to that regional final on the boys' side, and Warren Central beat Bowling Green, I think, 2 years in a row, and Bowling Green clearly had the better players. Just Warren Central had their number.
And you look last year at Greenwood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of action is going to take place starting Monday.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the brackets out for the 18th district.
Yeah.
I do know that LaRue will face Hart County in boys.
Mm-hmm.
Caverna will face Greene County.
They've been playing real well lately. Greene County has.
They've won 9 in a row.
Yeah. That's a different game than when Caverna beat them 75-48 earlier in the season.
Yes.
So that'll be an interesting matchup, I do believe.
It will be.
And then you mentioned that on the girls' side of the 18th, how does it work out? Is it?
I think Caverna will play Greene and Hart will play LaRue.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
I think that's the way it rolls.
And then in the 15th, as we mentioned earlier, on the girls' side, they're going to play both girls' games next Monday at Warren East.
So it'll be Glasgow and Allen County.
Yeah, and Barron and Warren East.
Okay.
And then the boys, we have Glasgow and Warren East, and then we have Barron and Allen County.
Will they play those the same night as well?
No, one will be on Tuesday, one will be on Wednesday. We have the brackets on 104thescore.com.
Okay.
So we'll have them all on there. You can go look in there and see them.
All right. Well, you guys can go and check this out on our Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local station, on their homepage, as well as the local channel. YouTube, you can catch it on KY Sports TV on all of our websites, social medias, as well as 104 The Score. We appreciate you guys watching us again, and until next week, we will see you then.
All right.